if that guy's accurate, and we can all come to an understanding that every little decision that you make, every way you think about things, every way you move through this life has this ultimate effect of transforming the very universe that you exist in.
Yeah.
And you can literally move to a higher plane.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's true, but it seems to behave as if it's true.
In this video, we're going to look at how Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell on Duncan Trussell Experience, episode 666, they talk about how reality may be what we put into it and get out what we want. They talk about how Dara Anka's channeling of the entity he calls Bashar describes reality as a choose-your-own-adventure where it's how you react to reality. We're going to look at this, and then I'm going to explain, as the video goes on, how this works.
You know what? I'm just going to go be by myself and see who I am, not who all these things that I connect myself to that define me.
I don't mean that. I mean the family that a lot of people think they're around isn't even their family. It's a projection of the family that they had last week or the family that they grew up with. I'm saying what happens, and it's like people get amnesia and literally do this, but what happens if you walk out of the palace of your past? The past is the palace. You're like, you walk out. So here you are around this group of people that is your family.
Right.
But instead of interacting with them like the family that existed a year ago, 2 months ago, yesterday, you're just fully in the moment with them as they are in that moment. Yeah. Not like, you remember what you did last week?
You piece of shit.
You know, yeah, you know, that is crazy, because this is what psychedelics have shown me, and meditation will show this to you, but it takes longer, is at any given moment, you are in a brand new universe. And then instantly you paint that universe with all of the shit that happened to you in the past. This means literally, I'm looking at your sign, the Joe Rogan Experience. My mind instantly takes these symbols that when I was younger, I had no idea what they meant, weaves them together into words instantaneously.
Yeah.
And then this person friend, this person enemy, this person good, this person bad.
Right.
But my favorite moments on acid have been when all that shit goes out the window.
Right.
And you just experience the world like it just was created yesterday.
Right.
I just want to add that through the work of Dr. Michael Levin, they found that looking at cellular structures and how stem cells and cells that are growing in a brand new organism find where they're supposed to be is that they find a different in voltages across the cellular structure. So what he's found is that stem cells will move into an area where there should be cells, and just by reading the electrical pattern that's underlying the structure, they're able to figure out if it should be a kidney cell, a bone cell, a brain cell, whatever. And he's found that the cells really don't have any sort of memory, but they merely go off of where they are in the structure and any damage that has been caused by the greater electrical pattern. He's found that this suggests that every single cell in our body at any given moment is creating a story for where it is in the greater structure. So every cell in our organism is literally creating its reality.
Right, right.
And that, to get back to Jesus, is what they call being born again. You know what I mean? You're resurrected from the dead. You're like the dead. The resurrection is literally the past is dead.
You escape your confinements.
Yes, the confinement of the past.
Yeah. And
then there's that's it's weird how the universe is simultaneously incredibly old but brand new at any given moment.
Right.
Again, this ties directly into how cells operate, because if you look at the age-old saying, as above, so below, our cells create their history in any given moment when they need to do something like replicate. It's once we realize it's a greater consciousness that we are doing this, that we really unlock the magic that we can use as billions of cells working in concert.
Right. Yeah, it can be. Have you ever heard that guy? There's a guy that claims to channel. I don't know if he's channeling an alien or some ancient spirit or something like that. Some guy. He talks very loud and very strangely. Who's that guy?
His name is
Bashar.
He's a famous channeler.
Yeah.
He's channeling aliens.
That's right.
He channels the aliens, an alien, I believe.
An alien. So
Remember,
this guy
it's
was talking.
your government.
And
You are the
He
government.
says fascinating
So you
stuff,
have an
even though the
opportunity
idea is ridiculous.
to shift yourself
like the idea of him
in
channeling
frequency
this alien,
in a way
just on paper,
that allows
is ridiculous.
you
I'm
to
not saying
create
it's not
the
real.
systems you
On
prefer,
paper, it's ridiculous.
so
he
that
was
when the
saying
old systems
that
crumble
not
and fall
only
away, the new
is
systems
the
can replace
universe
them. Now,
new,
that's one way to
but
look
the
at it.
universe
However,
is
what's actually
new
happening is this.
all throughout the day,
Mechanically speaking.
depending on the choices
As
you
you-
make. You bend into parallel realities that are very different, and you leave behind all of the different variations of you that exist in all the different variations of this reality.
Wow.
And that you are experiencing a very unique journey that's dependent upon your thoughts and ideas and actions. And every time you do it a certain way, you move in a certain direction.
Dude, yeah, multiverse navigation via some kind of like
Yes.
will.
Which used to sound crazy. The idea of multiverse is so abstract until they started doing quantum computing. And the only way to explain the power of quantum computing is that it's somehow or another accessing an infinite number of these multiverses and instantaneously using them all to solve this equation.
Yeah.
So the way that this works is that if we look at all of reality as a series of energetic structures that are self-sustaining, and in order for them to be self-sustaining, they have to take on the shape that we've dubbed a torsion field, or a toroidal donut. This torsion field has the unique property of cycling energy around its perimeter until cycling it in through its center, and then beginning the process all over again. This cyclical cycle describes many of the processes we witness in the universe. In general, they're a spherical object that follows this general trajectory of cycling energy through its center, around the perimeter, and then back through its center. Another way you could look at this is the process of consciousness, because consciousness is constantly moving energy from its outer perimeter in through its center and then back out. And this cyclical movement is exactly what a living organism is doing to its environment. Because you see, if we look at this diagram of a torsion field and imagine that our consciousness sits right here in the center, we can understand that as time as we see it moves forward, if we're moving in the direction of left to right, let's say, we're witnessing a funnel of time as it moves in this direction. And this movement appears to be in a linear fashion. And in this way, it would look like what is the future is coming towards us, while what's in the past has just occurred. But as we just discussed with Michael Levin's research, this is all an illusion. And when the entity Bashar says that we're moving through different stages of reality, what he's saying is that we are right here, and we can be anywhere in this chain of reality, depending on our choices, what we're trying to experience, and where we are. Because then again, if we think of everything taking on this shape, what would happen is that you would have the Earth having a bigger torsion shape. Let's say this is the Earth, and this is the crust, and this is the outer ionosphere. And then we are little people right here living on the surface. And this suggests that not only are we just extensions of the planet Earth, we're also existing within the Earth's environment. And that because we are exactly like the Earth and create our own plasma field, we're also encased in our own reality. And since other people are doing the exact same thing, this basically makes this a co-creation of both each other's reality and the Earth's ultimate reality. And again, if we look at all of this from the perspective of up and down this chain, as energy moves forward, is all the different options of reality, and there's an infinite amount of layers or possibilities. Regions in the higher areas of this torsion field would be more mystical and higher energy, and this could align with different species of aliens or angels even, as they would be at an angle to us but still existing in the now moment frame of reference, which would be like this square. So really, our frame of reference is anywhere within this entire field of the Earth, which again, the Earth is existing within the field of the sun, and the sun within the galaxy, and the galaxy within the universe. And God knows what that's within.
In a preposterous amount of time. Have you seen the way Mark Andreessen describes the power of it? He said that these quantum computers can solve an equation quickly, within minutes, that if you took the entire universe and created a supercomputer with every atom in the entire universe, that's how big the supercomputer would be, the universe would die of heat death before it would solve this equation.
Yeah.
And quantum computing can solve it in minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
which is
wild.
like, what the did you just say? So is this proof of the multiverse? It's very controversial because most people, including me, don't really understand what the they're talking about when they're talking about quantum computing. Like, what are you doing exactly, and how are you doing it? When they can't answer it, things get real weird.
Yeah, man.
And when the only thing that's plausible is that this is proof of the multiverse, and then you get a bunch of hard-nosed fucking quantum scientists. You get a bunch of hard-nosed physicists and engineers who are putting this fucking super cool thing together. And you've seen the cooling systems they have on these?
They look crazy.
They have to be like deep space cool, but times 100. And that this is what you have to maintain, and that the actual quantum computer is like the size of a saltine.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's fucking nuts, man. But is it proof of the multiverse? And if that's true, like if we all knew the multiverse was real, and we knew that this man who talks like this, I am channeling, if that guy's accurate and what he's saying is right, and sometimes wacky people say true shit, if that guy's accurate and we can all come to an understanding that every little decision that you make, every way you think about things, every way you move through this life has this ultimate effect of transforming the very universe that you exist in.
Yeah.
And you can literally move to a higher plane.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's true, but it seems to behave as if it's true.
So, again, by just looking at this as our frame of reference for reality, if you were to just rotate this for better clarity and look at this is the computer processor. If you have a processor that's operating within this whole frame of reference that can be any point at the smallest point of space, what you would have is just little feelers, I guess, for the quantum field that are feeling and using all of these different points within the same chip. By getting these chips and interject flow to very, very small points and also very cold temperatures, they're able to manipulate energy fields that are much closer to the base level of reality. And in electrical dynamics and also other electrical systems of thought, there's an aspect of the electromagnetic field called the longitudinal aspect. And this longitudinal aspect behaves just like water waves as they crest on the seashore, where they'll slide back into the frame of reference, because what's really happening is that this quantum processor is sitting with its different terminals sitting on the aspect of the electromagnetic field called longitudinal aspect, or sometimes called scalar, where these waves are actually part of the entire whole of the electromagnetic field. And that as they lose their up and down vorticity, they slow down and then become a straight wave that moves through the entire medium. This is best seen by how water waves crest on the seashore and then retract back in before meeting the oncoming up and down waves, and then sort of ride on the up and down waves, creating the entire ocean as we know it. This is exactly how the electromagnetic spectrum works. as when these up and down waves lose their vorticity of up and down motion, they change into a centripetal motion where it's in-flowing motion that meets the up and down waves. This is exactly how the quantum field works, or longitudinal aspect of the electromagnetic spectrum. Because as these up and down waves lose their vorticity through these extreme temperatures of coldness and these extremely small quantum processor pins, you're able to work with very, very small states of the electromagnetic field. And when you get down to these extremely small points, they behave as we call them quantum. And the best way to understand what quantum really is it's looking at the properties of the longitudinal waves as they exist within the up and down transverse waves. So by doing this, if you look at the ocean example, we would have the entire ocean as a probability field to pull from. And if a quantum processor can arrange itself in a way that it can pull from all of the different points that are within quantum coherence, then you've got many different points in space solving the same equation at the same time, seemingly breaking our understanding of space-time, but in actuality, it's just how the universe works. And what they're saying about understanding our reality would completely change how we fundamentally exist as human beings. I 100% agree. And I think that's where we're going, where we recognize that each one of us is nothing more than a conscious fractal that contains the whole of the universe, trying to understand where it is in relation to the whole universe. In this way, we're both brains for Gaia, the universe, and ourselves, having a unique experience from a unique perspective, wrapped in all this stuff around us.
Well, I mean, I thought about this when we were describing the multiverse. Like birds. You look at a flock of birds, right? Now, you look at the flock of birds, you think they're experiencing reality the way a human would, that they're seeing trees, clouds, whatever. Of course they're not. They're birds. And God knows what they're experiencing up there. They might, as a flock, that could be a mind. And who knows? Like, do they even know they're flying, or do they think they're thinking?
Especially when they're like moving through in beautiful patterns.
Yeah. You might be looking at a thought. That's just a thought that sort of, the bird's experience might be, if I think about trees, I get closer to trees. You know what I mean? But what I mean is, if you look at the personality, the identity, the habits as an actual vehicle that is giving you access to certain levels of the multiverse, then it would follow, if you were to drastically change aspects of that vehicle for the better or for the worse, you would be given access, you'd be able to make it to higher peaks or lower pits. You know what I mean? And so from this, like, the way we think about time is past, present, future. And the way we think about action is not when I decided to throw ice water in the baby's face at the cafe, I was going to go into a multiverse where I would go to jail. We're just thinking the natural consequence will be I'm going to jail, probably get my ass kicked. But if you start looking at action and shifts in identity as literal multiverse navigation systems, then all of a sudden, a lot of the myths and magic and all of that stuff starts becoming more real, which is, it's sort of like, okay, if you want access to this node of the multiverse, here's how you get there. You meditate, you pray, you help people, and then suddenly you will realize, no, it's not like your life got better. It's like you're in a new universe now. Which Jesus called the kingdom of heaven. And seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will follow. I mean, it's literally saying there is a place simultaneously existing with this place that you can't even see right now. But once you find it, all the shit that you're worried about will fall away. Everything will go bye-bye. Because you're not in the same universe anymore. You know,
one of the most fascinating things that's a reoccurring theme with alien abduction?
What?
That time is not real.
I don't think it is.
It's the most reoccurring theme, that the way we experience time is an illusion. The only time that really exists is this. It's never ending, and it's right here. And our attempts to measure this effect of past and our measuring of progress in the future, it's kind of an illusion.
Well, we're measuring change.
Yeah.
That's what
We're measuring change, but time is constant.
Right.
Watches are real. Watches are real. They tick, 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 tick,
Yeah,
tick,
they
tick. They tell you
change
the time.
predictably.
Yeah, I mean, you should be on time. We've all agreed culturally, if you have to be at work at 9, you kind of should be here at 9.
Time.
Yeah, but this idea of time, they all say the same thing. Like, why would that be ubiquitous amongst alien abduction experiences when they talk to these human beings, these supposedly more intelligent creatures? They're trying to relay some information about the current state that you're experiencing. What you think you're experiencing versus what it really is.
I mean, yeah, it's like when they encounter humans, they just look at us as like time trapped or something, neurologically manacled to some kind of way of analyzing change that produces a sense of being, locked in progressing towards the future, and there's a past. But McKenna would always talk about this, that like maybe the shaman or like people like that, they can sort of raise their heads up above, temporal time as we understand it. And I think the example he uses, like, if there's a bunch of people living in a valley and they couldn't get to the top of a mountain, and you got to the top of the mountain and told them it's around them, they would think, what the how do you know this?
Right.
And that's, I think, how he was talking about the dimension we're trapped in, which is if you just poke your head up a little bit, suddenly, like, it's like sticking your head up out of like water.
Right.
And that's that. I think that's. I mean, I don't think channeling is bullshit, dude.
I don't think it's bullshit either. I don't know what percentage of it is definitely bullshit, though. I don't think the idea of channeling is bullshit, but I think some channelers are bullshit, and that's the problem.
So that's a lot there. Let's talk about how there is no time, right? So again, if we are existing right here in the center, and as Duncan is saying that as different spiritual masters gain different understandings, they can poke their head up above, and the aliens must be looking at us like we're time-locked beings in these bodies. What if we look at angels, aliens, as beings that exist here and here? And depending on the type of being they are, they exist in different spots. So let's say some of the more dense aliens kind of exist in this area, and angels kind of exist here. What that would mean is that when Jesus says the realm of heaven is around you, I think you could literally look at it as at any given point where you are on this up and down part of the torsion field, this red triangle is the realm of heaven. And as you see, it can be seen up and down the entire chain. And depending on what level you're on, it probably changes with the amount of energy and consciousness that's there on that level. And I'd imagine that as you become more advanced, you either work yourself farther into this energy, which is a fractal in shape, meaning that even the most dense particle never fully becomes dense. It's always holographic. And even the least dense particle contains the entire universe still. It's just sparsely populated. That if you look at things this way, I believe that time is more easily understandable as it's anywhere you are at any given moment having the experience of the energy as it moves towards you. And I also believe that everything that we consider to be the future in this area is also could be thought of as the astral realm. As it said, the astral realm is the energy that comes from the future and meets us in the present moment. So that's why people always talk about how the astral realm is full of all this astral garbage of our thoughts and intentions, because it's kind of a loading ground or a template area for us to structure our reality before it comes into the present moment and manifests. And with that, I think we've covered most of the end of Duncan's podcast. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or write me at adam@adamweichel.com. And if you really liked this video, please feel free to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/AdamDavid. And check out some of my other videos for more in-depth looks at how this works and what it means to live in a fractal spiritual universe. Because I believe if we all understand, like Duncan and Joe are talking about, how this is a spiritual universe first, where we're having a conscious experience, I think we can change the earth like that. Thank you again.